What is up, YouTube? McIntyre here. Today I wanted to bring you guys an extension of my tier list. This is a new idea. Before I go into this though, I will say that I'm going to post this document in the description of my YouTube channel. So if you do not want to listen to me talk about a lot of this stuff, you can just look at it. It'll save you some time if you'd rather look at a written document rather than hear me talk. Also, if you enjoy these videos, please make sure to throw a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It helps me out a ton. I really do appreciate it. But hopping into it, basically what this video is going to do is every few tier lists, I'm going to talk about the S tier heroes and why we're taking these heroes often and when they're good. Okay, so a lot of people ask me like, when should I take this hero? Why should I take this hero? So basically, this idea is going to take a lot of the top tier heroes and just talk about what they do well and why we take them. Okay, and we're just going to go through. I've written up a bunch of stuff on a few heroes, and we're going to talk about it. So the first is Ragnaros, and I've put maps here too. But these are four of Rag's best maps: Braxis, Spider, BOE, and Infernal. And the reason for these four maps in particular being so good is that he has a great ability to defend objective pushes. And, he's good on all maps, really, but these maps he really shines since he can Molten Core and defend bosses or waves or whatever the case is, right? It slows down a lot of the enemy's team's win condition, and it gets your team to a later game state or potentially saves a game from being over, right, in Hero League. The other thing that Rag does really well is he has excellent wave clear. He's able to double soak as a melee assassin. He has great 1v1 potential, which goes right with his wave clear hand in hand. His ability to wave clear allows him to sit in a 1v1 lane and win it most of the time. And if the other person tries to trade, usually he can out-sustain them and out-trade them using his Q ability. He also has amazing follow-up, and this has to do with Sulfurous Smash. So if you have any stun tank on your team and they stun someone and you follow up with Smash, 90% of the time you're going to one-shot that person. You obviously can throw a raw Smash, so you don't always have to have someone stun for you. But connecting that in a team fight, especially in Hero League, can be very rewarding and very punishing for the enemy team. So for that reason, Rag is a top tier. A lot of people struggle with this guy, but if you practice him, you can get really good at him. The keys would be making sure your Q hits more than 2 targets and holding on to it if it's not going to. The only reason you would use your Q is if you know for certain that you will not hit another target, in which case you should try to hit a minion wave or deal as much damage as possible with him. He's punished by slows and poke damage, so this is something that I think most people know already. I mean, he's good against CC because of his 13 talent, and he's really bad against damage that he can't hit. So if he can't get his Q off, then he's bad against that, right? So those are his punishes. And I also have, follow-up, also impossible to kill. And this goes for his 13 talents, his 7 talent with his Q cooldown reduction, and his ability to heal with that ability. So the next hero we're going to talk about is Varian. Maps, seriously, most maps. BOE is probably his weakest because of you fight over that first objective before you're level 4, which sometimes can be a little punishing. Same goes for Infernal. I would say he's okay on Infernal as well. He doesn't have a lot of AoE damage. I have he has decent wave clear. If you use your Q on the wave, it's not terrible to do. Maybe I'm pushing there a little bit. He's very weak on wave clear. That is his biggest weakness, okay, is that he has no wave clear. So you have to have something to do clearing of the wave if you take Varian, right? Which is not bad since you can first pick it and then everyone's like, okay, now, if you're a Varian's teammate, then you should be picking some sort of wave clear to help him. One thing that he does really well is he controls zones, and by that he holds vision very well, right? If you as the enemy team see Varian, you know that you can't step near him. So he holds that area that he's in, and you are afraid to go into his area. So vision chokes and stuff like that, he's really good at. He doesn't turn on here till level 4, so it's important not to lose a game before 4. Also, after 10, look for picks and don't be afraid to charge tank plus taunt for good poke. So this basically means, like, I see a lot of variants when, like, let's say the enemy's ETC walks up. Like, don't be afraid to, like, charge him and then taunt and then run away. And then your team pokes that ETC. 2 things are going to happen. 1, you're going to chunk him 50%. Actually, 3 things. 1, you're going to chunk him 50%. 2, you're going to one-shot him. or 3, he's going to get cleansed. And all 3 of those are really good. The worst thing that could possibly happen is he gets cleansed and immediately engages on you. And in Hero League, if that's happening, then by God, the other team outplayed you. But it's hardly ever going to happen. So don't be afraid to taunt and charge to get poke on front line. It's totally okay to do, especially with most comps are going to draft something around you. Do not overextend, no mobility. So this guy, he doesn't have a get out of jail free card, right? Which isn't bad because he has a lot of other cards that a lot of these other tanks don't have, like point and click stun. So Malf is the next we're going to talk about. Maps, all. Yeah, seriously, all maps. I personally think Malf is the most busted hero in the game. As you can see here, I've said there is actually nothing wrong with this hero. His kit provides everything, and he does everything well. He can zone, he can be aggressive, he can be passive, he has the ability to get solo kills. He provides vision, he provides mana. Yeah, the only thing is make sure to be patient on your Twilight, but don't hold it forever. So like if the Haka overextends into your team, Twilight before he ults and kill him, right? If something overextends into your team and they're relying on their cooldowns, let's say even Tracer blinks in and you see the Tracer blinking in for your weak backline, then try to get this Twilight on her first before she blows up your backline. And he's punished obviously by fast damage, so anything that damages over his heal will beat Malfurion. The next is going to be the triple range. These are our core range damages. They are good for all maps. And I have 3 clauses here. It says, do you need poke, Liming, and Vala? So this is if your team has high sustain. These 2 are where you want to be at. Do you need follow-up? This is Tychus and Liming. So if your team has high engage, again, Varians, CC, they're trying to CC and you need a follow-up, you want to go these guys. And then do you need a hyper carry? Tychus or Vala. So your team is kind of in between. They have some good CC, they have some good sustain, but they're kind of missing something, right? They're not one or the other. Then I think Tychus and Vala are both fairly safe there. Her next is going to be Rhaegar. So Rhaegar, what maps do we want to play Rhaegar on? Tomb, Dragon, Towers, and Infernal. So the reason for that is that he is great at doing camps and pushing out lanes. Imagine if you needed a Joanna for your comp, but instead you could have a real tank. That's basically what Rhaegar allows you to do. He's your Joanna for your comp. And the reason for that is because of his double lightning shield. You can totem, put the lightning shield, have a lightning shield on yourself. And this basically one-shots waves and camps. So on like Towers of Doom, for example, you can go do the sappers by yourself. And do them fairly quick too, without really getting punished. So really strong there. And I also have a little note that says, do not be afraid to ult early so you get value instead of your teammate dying and you getting no value. And the thing with Rhaegar is that, he's got pretty fast damage, but he has bad, I would say, sustained damage-ish. If you take the 13 talent, you can have okay sustained damage, but then you lose your burst healing. Sorry, not damage. Sustain healing, and you would lose your burst healing if you take the Q talent at 13. So he can kind of be anywhere, but I would say his biggest weakness is that he doesn't have a lot of sustain. So he's trying to win. Most of the time, Rhaegar comps are trying to win off of Ancestral. They want you to overextend a lot of your damage. You Ancestral that target, and then they win from there. So just be mindful of that. If you can kill the target before Ancestral, that's good. But a lot of the time, you just want to poke down Rhaegar comps, kind of give Rhaegar trouble at healing everything, and then go for the execution after. The next is going to be Monk. What maps does he go on? Towers, Curse, BOE, Sky Temple. So I have Monk as a great objective-based hero. And he controls points very well. So BOE controls the boss. Sky Temple, he controls the boss, right? He can get in and get out really easily and safely. He also has the ability to sustain an entire team with his W, which can be really good. Plus his totem can help fight in these clumped, we're postured, you're postured team fights. He can also apply pressure when needed. So if your Varian stuns something, he can Q in and start punching them and maybe go into 7-sided and even 7-sided for the kill. He's kind of I say he's the Swiss Army knife, but he's really the aggressive knife. He's the knife that can kill as a support, where a lot of the supports are just sit back and wait for your team to do something. He can really follow up your team and have an impact in the team fights. The last 2 that I wanted to talk about are ETC Diablo, because a lot of people don't really understand where these tanks are at. So I say, do you need a fatty health bar? Then Diablo. And what that means is if your team is really squishy and the other team has lots of damage, they have to put that damage somewhere. And that's where Diablo comes in. He's also incredibly good against mages because of his built-in spell reduction at 7. Meanwhile, if the other team is more kind of precise and your team has a lot of, let's say you have the Ragnaros, for example, then you can maybe go ETC, because in that case you need an engage, right? You need something to engage for your Rag, and that's where ETC would come in. He also is much better at peeling, so Diablo is much better at going in. He goes in, the other team reacts to him going in, puts damage on him, and then your team follows up. ETC is much more tactical in the sense that he waits for the other team to misstep and then punishes. Or you peel for your team, and then when the other team engages on you, you go for their enemy's backline or whatever and try to get that mosh, right? Try to get that winning slide or something. So both heroes work really well, but they both do things well, right? Better than the other. And that's how a lot of pros decide which is better or worse. So, but these are the top picks in Hero League currently. I hope this video helped. This is the first time me doing this, so leave in the comment section below if there are other things you want me to talk about. I don't really want to talk about everything, as there are some things that I want to keep to myself and to my team, but most of this stuff is fairly general information for new players that they might not have known, and for high level players already know. So I wanted to give you guys a good idea of the heroes without giving you everything on them. But let me know in the comments below if there's anything else you guys want to know. I wanted to put this video out there kind of quickly. Just go through these things again. Check the description if you would like to read this kind of document. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you all so much again. If you enjoyed this video, again, make sure to throw a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really am pushing. My goal is to get 10K subs. I think I'm at like 8K almost right now, so 2,000 more. It's actually not that many, but it's a lot for me. And I think it would really mean something to me to hit that 10K sub on YouTube. I never even thought that there'd be a day where I'd start making YouTube videos, so it's cool to even think that I have somewhat of a following right now. But I appreciate you guys so much, as always. And until next time, I'll see you then. Cheers.